No break, no jam, no sense. A joro jar, a joro, joro, joro. Attention.
Welcome back to the Green Passport Podcast. As always, I'm Ohiz, Okiki, and Ifeanyi. You guys know the rest of the gang. Today, we are joined by feminist Nigerian. Like, there's so many ways you can actually like intro you because you do so much for the movement. We have Ebele in the house. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me. How are you guys?
We're good, man. How are you, though? Let's start with that before we even really get into it. How are you?
Really?
My God, that is so heavy because, like, where do I want to start from? This just God, but I'm fine. I think it's been a long month or 2 months.
Yeah.
And I guess everything is kind of just getting back into normal form of Lagos life, Nigerian life. I don't think I can't say that personally I'm as great as I was before NSAS. As a matter of fact, I'd rather have not experienced NSAS because I was fine in my ignorance and just not knowing a lot of the things that I know now. But no, I'm definitely better than I was like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's just, it is what it is.
It really is what it is, honestly, because even even in her DMs before this started, yeah, she just hit me like, by the way, the gen went off on Nipa Tukla. I said, God. I said, how?
This is Nigeria.
You see, the problem is whether you go outside, problem. You decide, okay, let me stay inside my house and be a productive, problem. It's like, where is just sane? There's just no sane place. It's I just can't.
And like that's just Lagos. As soon as you said that, I was just like, God, like here we go again. But no, let's even go in for context, by the way. All four of us went to the same high school. I don't want to say their name because did they even deserve
Secondary
to be
school, within the high school.
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, sorry.
Abi, he has brought his American thing.
Sorry, we went to the same secondary school. I don't want to say the name because they don't deserve plugging right now. But they don't deserve plugging right now. But the thing is, with a lot of what happened there, like just in line with even how this podcast even came in line, because we created a group chat because people started telling their stories about, like stories of them getting sexually assaulted and sexual abuse that happened in our secondary school. So did that play a factor as to how you just became like a proper like devout feminist, and did that like help drive your mission towards the cause?
Well, our school.
Yes, good. I like that.
Did it?
How was your reaction when that came out? How was when the whole thing came out?
When this came out, what in 20? What year was this? 2018.
2018, yeah, 2018 summer, yeah.
Man, I think it is. You think about when you think back to it, it's just like it's normal. Is it not? All these things that obviously in the moment they're probably uncomfortable. Some of these things, like words that will say, that will just throw around, or like just different things that will happen. It seems like banter at the moment, and maybe there's just a little bit of like, this is a bit weird on whoever it is that is experiencing it. But it's just like well, normal. It's not normal thing now, normal thing. But then leaving that space and then realizing that it wasn't just our school. It's something that happened in a lot of other schools, and it's a culture, like it's a thing. And then I think for me, the biggest part of what happened in that period was just, it wasn't surprising. It was just, now we are aware. Everybody knows that, okay, this thing is not really nice. Like, it can actually be damaging short-term, long-term. And seeing, like, I remember that there was a protest that we did because of this in 2017. And we marched, and I saw people like in year 7 people, parents, and I'm just like, year 7, like what is, like, it was mind-blowing seeing how much at that age you actually understand what is going on and understand it to be wrong enough for you to want to come out and be like, yeah, nah, this isn't cool. So yeah, no, it did definitely play a huge role. Just seeing the shift in mentality as to how we view those kind of things, it was like, oh, man, yeah, for sure.
That's progress. Like, I was even gonna get into like one of the projects you were involved in being like the formation of the Market March found by Damilola Marcus in October 2018. I think there was a march in Yaba Market. It's like, because obviously it's been known for years that if you go to the market, like just as a woman, it's just so long for you because there are men, you know, trying to grope women with claims. It's like, oh, we're trying to drive business or whatever. But like, how, because I know you were like a project lead in that, so then how did that actually come about?
Dami just put out a video on Twitter and just said, like, you know what, she's frustrated with the fact that, you know, she can't comfortably go to the market and just go to the market, and it's nothing else more than just going to the market. You don't have to deal with anything else. And, you know, it's one of the great things about things like this is just when one person just says it, everybody's like, yeah, but that is so true.
That's true.
And it's like, we all knew it. It's like, we all kind of knew it. So what were we really trying to do? Why? And it's just like, everybody is just like, man, you know what? That is so right. Yeah, no, this can't happen. And that's kind of how it blew up, which is practically how all of these things kind of blow up. It's just one person just needs to just stand and be like, yeah, so let's actually talk about this thing. And then you just see a lot of people coming out. And then we started organizing the Yaba march because with all these things, you kind of have to make noise about it first before we can start talking about policies. You can start talking about, you need to make awareness. So usually protests are a very good way to go. So the protest in Yaba was a big one. And it was a big one because, especially in Lagos, like a lot of, because Unilag is not too far from Unilag, and I think Yaba Tech, they're not too far from the Yaba market. So there are a lot of young people who actually go there, young women who go there. So you would hear a lot of those stories from that particular market. So it was a huge statement, right? It was a huge statement where it was like, you know what, we're no longer just going to go to the market and go back home and be like, that idiot that just touched my hand or whatever. We're actually going to go and tell them, listen, like, no, you know, and I mean, I think the internet saw what happened. It was just, they were throwing pure water bags, they were shouting,
we will touch you. Like, it was so disgusting to see.
They were literally telling you, like, what is there? Is it not we
there
have
was opposition. There was opposition from the people who stayed in the urban market against the protest. Are you serious? Man, they have nerve like that.
Yeah, they were like, is it not? I have your sister. I have sister like you at home. What are you? And then.
Oh wow,
it's not funny.
Yeah,
it really is
so brazenly. And that kind of response is not new, right? So I've even seen it in Nigeria with our people where we're telling them, "Hi, don't kill us," and they're like, "Why?" Basically, they're like, "Shut up."
Yeah.
It's okay. You know, so yeah, that was kind of the reaction. It kind of slowed down a bit. We're trying to figure out how to, you know, address it from the policy end. And that's kind of why. But then it's something where I think we'll just be doing protests like that across the country, like quarterly or once or twice a year, just to keep the conversation, you know, in people's minds while, you know, we try and sort out policies and whatnot. Yeah, so that's Market March. That's how Market March has been.
It's even good that, well, not good, but even mentioned the fact that there was even opposition, because just the whole Market March thing is like just one of many issues in Nigeria as a result of like tradition and stuff like that, and how women are just seen as lesser or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, even there was so much opposition against We Will Not Be Silenced Nigeria, Say Her Name Nigeria, and even the feminist coalition, we were going to get into a lot later. But then just that, has that ever almost been a deterrent? It's like, oh, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe there's just been too many years of these traditional norms that I'm just going to give up?
Very shock.
Well, yes and no. Like, obviously, you have those times, yeah, where you're just like, oh, now, wow, like, guy,
Fun again.
it's even like, whoa, like, sometimes you now start considering, whoa, is this oppression even that bad? Like maybe I can mind. You have a moment that, please, it's too much. But then at the end of the day, you know that like it's not sustainable, right? It's like having to constantly deal with this particular like systemic oppression every single day from different angles. It's just like, nah. So there are those moments, but like you still stick to the goal, and it helps that you're not alone. There's obviously a community of other women and allies that will be like, okay, you know what? When you're tired, I'm here. When I'm tired, you're there. So having that kind of community, which is why it's so important to have. I think that's why, like, recently you see things like Wine and Wine, for instance, where it's just a community for women where they can be safe to express, their struggles, their wins, their losses, and be comfortable talking about those things. And just constantly pushing each other and driving each other and networking and just it's just, that kind of community helps. It doesn't make the fight seem so like gloomy and bad. But not to the point whereby you just like, not to that point, but you have those moments where it just happens.
I can imagine, man. Like, even now, just as a guy, as a Nigerian man, there was so much, and I'm sure the boys can relate, like there was so much that we had to unlearn just being Nigerian men, and like understanding was like, okay, this isn't okay. Like, we should have done our best.
I don't lie, man. I don't lie. There wasn't anything I had to unlearn because
sorry.
A lot of these things. No, let's be honest now. A lot of these things I've always thought were just common human decency. Like, I don't know. There wasn't anything I had to unlearn, man. Or maybe you can remind me.
What's decent is kind of relative based off
exactly
where you are. Yeah.
Okay, to be fair, but there are some things that are less relative than others. Like, for example, don't touch people without their consent. I mean, that should be something
that should be common sense.
Exactly, So, I mean, bro, I don't really think there's anything.
That's what culture does now. But culture, that's kind of what culture does. It makes like the most, like, this should be straightforward thing just so twisted and just unnecessary. So that's kind of why, the whole culture thing, that's why culture is something that we're actively trying to fight if it actually harms people's humanity and create a space where we can actually look inwards and, say, this part of our culture, I mean, does it really represent who we are as people who are whatever kind of culture you have? Does it paint us as people who actually don't have respect for each other, even within the community? So that's really what culture does. So no, it's still relative.
Culture can kind of turn the most absurd things normal. It just turns everything that doesn't make sense into it. It's normalized, so everyone's going about their day.
And I think people need to realize that culture should be allowed to evolve, because there are a lot of nonsense things that we believe that people say, oh, it's our culture. We're not like the West, when we're talking about human rights for gay people, and people are telling me that's not our way. Well, that's not our culture.
Yo, I was gonna get into that.
It's also a lie, by the way, but okay. Let's not
I was gonna get that, by the way.
Are you saying that homosexuality has always been in our culture? Like,
yes, it has.
Oh, really?
It has. In Nigeria.
I don't think that's true.
I said the sentence has been 14 years for time.
There's two places that I know of before now. There's two places, Niger and South Africa. It's always been in the history, and some other Southern African countries. It's always been there, but then obviously it will be erased, as a lot of our history is. It's there. It's there. And if you actually want to know, if you search, you will find it. And that's the thing, right? A lot of our history wasn't documented because, we want to bury a lot of things so that it's there.
Fair enough.
This is why we
need goes erasing part of our history, but that's another topic for another day.
Recent history now is like, okay, let's look at recent history. Like, let's say from when we got our independence. Like, we have a certain man that is in power that has been in power since at least 1980. That's Nigeria's recent history. Is it him that we're supposed to follow into, okay, this should be Nigeria's norms?
Apparently so. Apparently, yeah. That's
not the same person, sharp, but yeah.
It's not the same person consistently, but imagine Fela dropped a song for God.
Okay.
But now, imagine Fela dropped a song 40 years ago. Animal and Human. He was talking to Buhari, and the guy is a president now.
Oh, was he?
He was talking to
he
Buhari.
was.
Yeah, it was apparently.
Yikes.
Come on, Animal and Human scheme.
You know how these whole marches are going on, Ebele, and there are protests going on for women's rights and all that. Now, I'm a realistic person, yeah. So realistically, in Nigeria, how do you see the equality of women and men evolving? Do you think it's ever going to work in our lifetimes? You think it's ever going to come in our lifetimes? Yeah, like before
in ours.
Yeah, in ours. Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think? So?
I think it can.
I think
I think everything is possible.
Like I'm talking about on the same level with the West right now. I'm not talking about economy. I'm talking about changing people.
To be fair, the West isn't too ahead. But relatively, they are. But
compared to us,
they are. I think we can. In our lifetime, I think we can. In 60 years, within 60 years, China went from having slaves, enslaving their own people, to being a superpower and being a major contender.
Yeah, but being a superpower doesn't have anything to do with its ethics. It has more to do with its economy.
To be fair, sure. To be fair.
I mean,
but also remember that in 1960s? In 1960s, Black people didn't have rights like that in the US, did they?
True. Around the 1960s,
that's when
there were still fights for it.
But that's a fight that's
civil rights movement, yeah.
But it's still
going
a
on,
lot of change. It's still a lot of change between then and now.
True.
Wasn't there still segregation? There was. It wasn't there in the 1960s in the US.
60s, I'm not sure. Probably like 50s and below. But
50s, yes. Now look at the difference between then and now.
Okay.
Oh no,
so if anything, it does show. Yeah, it does show that there would be. I think it shows that change is possible in our lifetime.
I don't like comparing the West to Africa, man, because the West they've been doing this for a longer time, bro. Nigeria
have they?
Sorry, are we allowed to curse in this?
Yes, very much.
I was like, sorry. I was be like, but the West is also fucked. Just by the way, like,
yeah,
like,
go on.
Actually fucked. They just fucked with packaging. Like, the West is fucked. Like,
So our last guest literally said that America is most African countries with a Gucci belt. That's the only difference. Yeah. And the Gucci belt is stolen. So
I think that's a bit extreme, but I mean, they're not as far ahead as we think they are. That's
no, they are, bro. So they actually are.
They are not.
This end-SARS movement. You see the end-SARS movement? It opened my eyes to how far back we are. For a president to kill his citizens and nothing happened.
Guy,
that can never happen in America, bro. As far as America is.
Not today. Not today. No, wait, chill. Not today, but as recently as 20 years ago, it could.
No, I don't think
it happened in Ireland. It happened in Ireland. It happened. I think it was, I'm not sure about this because it was a while ago, but I think it was between the 1990s to 2000s. It happened. As in soldiers shot at civilians. So, I mean, I think it's still possible. I don't think the West.
Wait, who shot at civilians?
Okay, I'm not sure about this. The army. Let's just say the army.
Okay.
There was a whole debate about if it was England that ordered it, or so. I don't want to get into that, but the army shot at civilians. Obviously, they didn't kill 90 people, and it wasn't as bad as the one in Nigeria was, but it still happened, And between then and now, like we say, it's impossible for that kind of thing to happen in the space of 20 years. So I don't think we should underestimate the amount of change that can happen in that amount of
change can happen. Change can happen.
The
kind of change that
with that having been said, I don't know how we're going to do it. We'll get into that. I don't know what
it's possible, but I don't know how possible it really
but
is.
no, it is actually, to be honest, that's actually valid. You know, it is possible. It is possible, but how to do it is actually the difference. That would actually make the difference between if it's achievable. I think it is, but not like in the way we want it, like, okay, you know, but then there will definitely be, I don't think we'll be where we are now. Like, I mean, like with FEMCO, we're probably going to go into that later, but I think one of the things that stood out for me with them is just for the first time, I think in Nigerian history, we're having a feminist group be like headlining on newspapers, on like international media, local media, like a feminist group. That is history. Like, we wouldn't have had this, like, I don't know how many years ago. So having that now, it's something like, whoa, that is mind blowing. So no, yeah, we will keep evolving, but you know, slow and steady.
Yeah, it's a steady process. Like, thank you. I was gonna get into it, like feminist code. Like the way that they've handled this NSOS movement has just been, it's been incredible. Like even the accountability that they've shown, like even when the government tried to shut like funds going to them, for example, it was like, say swear, cool. You have Bitcoin, send it to us if you want to donate. Like, man, the whole thing has just been A1. Like, I didn't even really know like the origins. To me, they just popped up on my tier, and I was like, "Oh, swear, this is what you guys are on." Perfect. It's like, do you know like how that got about and how they just kind of like blew up into the scene?
To be honest, I don't know the like nitty-gritty details. I think I know probably as much as everybody else does, which was, you know, Dami and Odun, you know, wanted to create this network that, you know, would empower women in so many different ways. And there were a bunch of other like phenomenal women that they were just like, you know what, let's do it with you guys. So you guys have to network, you guys have to reach or whatever it is, and let's make this happen. And let me tell you, like, one major feeling that I've had throughout this process is just, there've been so many moments where, like, you know how like in the Avengers, like when everybody else just pulls up and you think like, what's his name? What's the guy's name with the hand? You think he's about to win, and then the full squad just pulls up. That's literally how FEMCO pulled up. They were just like, okay, guys, we need to keep this going. I got you. So let us do. And I was just like,
okay. They took everyone, man. It was so mad.
Like, okay, whatever you say, I'm here. Yeah. Tell me what you want. Like, and I think everybody else felt that. Like, you cannot even deny or speak of this movement without speaking of them. Like, you'd go to the protest grounds and you see, I was at the Lekki Toll for like a whole week or something, and you'd see people like Agberos, everybody's talking about how FEMCO, and I'm just like, the streets even know, and for the streets to know, you know that the impact is real. Like,
honestly, even you see those same people in FK's comments proposing every day. It's just like, man.
This is proposals every single day now. FK especially, I literally wake up, I almost like thought that entire period. I wake up every morning, I'm like, good morning, ma, Kalema, and is everything
our president.
Do you want what do you want, ma? Yes, ma. Every day, and obviously sometimes she won't respond, and I'll just be like, you know, I'll still wake up the following day. I'm like, good morning, ma. Yes, ma.
Hope you have eaten.
She'll probably reply like 2 or 3 days, and she'll be like, this babe, excuse me, just move away from my side, because everything like, let's just work. Yeah. So now, like, the way women came through for this movement,
even Nigeria remembers this, you know. I really hope they remember.
I don't think we'll ever forget this.
I hope they should remember this, man. Every time they want to talk down on women, or you know, try to suggest that women are not qualified to hold certain offices or have certain pay, they should remember that it was women that fought at the forefront during this.
Me, I don't think they remember jack shit.
I do. See,
we can only hope, Sha. Like,
I mean, Ebele is the one talking, man. She's talking from experience. You get me? She's the woman. I
don't have experience. Like, it's possible that they will. I just feel like there were a lot of disappointing moments. As great as this was, there were a lot of disappointing moments that I would have thought, like, the same way I'll be enthusiastic that, like, you know, they'll remember. I would have thought that, you know, they won't do this, you know, because we've shown hand. But like, I was at a particular protest where a guy literally stood behind a babe and just brought down his trousers completely and was just rubbing up behind her. I am not kidding you. So you think like,
How do you think?
But I thought we were all on this. I thought we were saying, okay, we are dropping everything. Let's come together as one and fight. I didn't know that we have to be fighting each other inside the same protest that we're trying to fight somebody else. It's crazy. You wouldn't expect something like that. But we had to get to the point where at the toll, for instance, we literally tell the MC, make sure you keep announcing that if you see anybody touching anybody, don't touch. It could be us. We had to get to that point because that's what was happening. So,
but they were beating up people that were doing that too. I heard that, and I was so happy.
I was going to say that, yeah, because I don't want to invalidate anybody's experience. So, because I'm not a woman, I'm a man, yeah. So, but
we know.
I'm just making sure you know. But I mean, I always tell these guys that in a country of 200 million people, it's not possible for everybody to have sense. And I'm not justifying what they're doing, though, but I'm saying that, for example, like what he said now, one guy was doing nonsense and some other guys beat the shit out of him and put him in an ambulance and sent him to the hospital, which was actually very hilarious. So I just want you guys to know that as much as there are people who are senseless, there are also people who understand what's going on. And as long as those good people don't keep quiet, eventually we will get there.
Yeah.
Because I know it can be disheartening when you see people like you just said somebody pulled down this, and I was like, what the fuck? And like I didn't even know that was something that happened, to be honest. So I mean, I just want people to keep their chin up,
Yeah, no, I don't think
forever.
At the end of the day, like, we know the reality and we know that these things will happen, but I think the fear with things like this and being comfortable with understanding or knowing that it's just like it might not come out in this form. Right? It is okay. Yes, that is one way in which maybe it's just these people they are doing it in that way. There'll be another group of people that will be doing it in another way, and there'll be another group of people that are doing it in another way. So either way, it's still like, as a whole, for the most part, you guys are sharing the oppression in your different specialties and skills. So that's why it's harder to keep your chin up with your chest, because the reality of the situation is, it's not that straightforward, right? But no, it doesn't mean, like you said, that like the change won't come. It will come, and we won't keep fighting if we didn't know that the change will come, right? So we'll just be like, well, it's all good. Let's just close shop. But there is hope because we see the little wins, and that is evidence that something is changing, something is happening. So we're definitely doing something right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, just speaking about the opposition as well, like when I mean opposition, I mean Nigerians older than 40. Like, we have fools like Adamu Gaba or whatever that are like, oh, the feminists are trying to hijack this NSAS movement. They're trying to, like, it's why I actually find that so mad. It's like they're so against equality of the sexes that they see feminism as a move, like they see it as anarchy. And I'm just like, that is when sometimes it's that sense of hopelessness.
Some might say witchcraft.
Oh yeah.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, sometimes, it's
It's like, how can women be equal to men? It's like, and it's like that. It's such a foreign concept to them.
It's like, just like, you guys, like, how do you think that this is going to work? How do you think that my wife and I will be the same position in our family? Does that make sense? That's what I'm saying.
From my perspective, it even seems madder to suggest that they are not equal. Why are they not equal? What reason? What is the key reason?
Bro, my head genuinely starts paining me whenever I try to rationalize that nonsense. I don't know how. They just do. I don't know how, bro.
You can literally your IQ just going,
I don't know how.
Is it that she can't solve a mathematical equation? Can solve one equation more than how? What exactly do you have at over her? It doesn't make any sense.
I find it so crazy, man. I find it so crazy.
It's just so annoying, man. How can you, like, all those people like Link, Adamu, all them people that just came to just open their mouth, and just say nonsense. Just say absolute nonsense, bro. Like, oh god.
It was frustrating, and I think, this is the thing for me. It is those things hurt, right? Yeah. We might be on Twitter and be like, this one has come again, and we'll probably just be like, but I remember that particular day when Shega Fraud decided to call the FEM coalition a cult. Like at that point, the names of people hadn't come out. So everybody was feeling that form of solidarity, like whoever these guys are, we're part of you. And we hear that and we see the tweet. And I'm literally with the protest ground, me and a bunch of other feminists. And we broke down. Like it's in as much as you want to be like, it hurts, right? Especially when you realize that you're also putting your life on the line, for the country. Now you're calling me, I could have decided to sit at home because at the end of the day, the police is mostly men that they target, right?
Of course, yeah.
I could have just decided, what is you people's problem at the end of the day? But I decided to come out because it is the country that I'm in. It affects all of us one way or the other. And then you now want to come and call me, putting a target on my back, knowing fully well that saying something like that is putting a target on these people's backs, getting threats, calls, not being able to stay at home. There are actual consequences for stuff like that. So it's just one of those things where when you're not in the position where you're experiencing it, it just seems like one of those, this guy said this one now, like, but it's actually like, and imagine me, like, for instance, we're privileged for the most part. Most of us are privileged who are able to just go out and speak and there are no consequences. But if I'm feeling this way and everything, imagine other people who aren't. Imagine other feminists who aren't as privileged as I am. Imagine feminists coming from poor backgrounds, feminists coming from super strict religious backgrounds. Like, it's not easy. So saying things like this, thinking, I'm going to get back at those women, like the child that you are, it's just like, you're getting old. At your age,
I'm an old man.
Come on.
At your big age.
At your big age.
It's 2020. If you don't want to catch on the bus, we will drop you. Let's go where we're going.
Word.
But yeah.
Man. I want to ask, like, I don't know, maybe you might have left like before. Like, were you there on the 20th of October? Or is that just one of the days?
I wasn't there. I was there on the Monday. I didn't go on a Tuesday. I fell ill at some point, so I had to stick to staying at home. So I wasn't there that day.
But
that's crazy, Billy, because you were there before that happened, and then it happened, and then you weren't there. So when it was happening, were you watching live?
So I haven't been home I wasn't home for like the whole of the protest because it was just we had already most of the frontliners, we had already communicated within ourselves, like especially like people in other states and everything that were getting calls, and we're just like, don't stay at home. So I wasn't home at that period in time. And so it was happening on the island. I stay on the island, but I wasn't on the island then. I was on the mainland at that time. So I was just like, oh my God, this place literally became home for like a week. Like we'll get there at like 4 a.m., leave there at God knows whatever hour. We're walking around from start to finish, making sure that ambulance gets through, making sure security comes, making sure everybody knows what they're doing. And just, it became home. Like, and it didn't matter who was there. We didn't even need to know each other's names. Like I was working with so many people that I didn't even know. Like, I just knew their faces and I knew, okay, you are part of NSAS. Oh yeah, let's be going. But those people became family because we bonded over something that had to do with life or death. So hearing that and hearing that, some of the people that we were actually interacting with and working with were also injured. A lot of these people can't come out because they were also frontliners and they're at risk as well. So they've had to be in hiding. Hearing all of that, it's just like, there's a huge part of me that felt like betrayed. Like I felt like I was betraying these people. Like we were there together and I wasn't there with you. And it was just like, man, I'm so sorry that you had to do this alone. Like there was that part, and there was obviously the part where you're feeling grateful that you are actually alive. But then it's just like, so what now? These people, what do we do? It's, man, it was so many mixed feelings at the same time. We couldn't sleep that night because we're just like, if you sleep for 1 hour, if you sleep for 30 minutes, you could wake up and this life could be gone and everybody is just gone and there's no, nah. It was insane. It was insane. It was insane.
Because we felt the same thing too, because we were watching it live.
Yeah.
When they were shooting people. And
big up DJ Switch, by the way. I just have to throw that out. Big up DJ Switch.
Oh my God, listen, Me, I would have probably thrown the phone at the army in defense because I don't know what else to do. I probably wouldn't have thought of an IG live, like, and she was doing that and trying to save people as well and trying to get people to ambulances and trying to coordinate. I was just like, listen,
Exactly.
and
Like, imagine she didn't take that risk of recording, especially now with the way that the government is saying nobody died or whatever the case may be. But then there's videos of even now the government wants to sue CNN. Like, when you actually see stuff like foolishness. So it's like
actually no works. I think they're so consumed by their own like ability to oppress that they don't realize that, hello, you can only do this here. How the world actually, they're not like us, you've managed to silence us and everything, but you can't silence everybody else. And if you're messing up, people call you out. Don't think that you can be moving. Like Mohammed is talking to CNN. See, let me not just now. Just stay where he is. I think Nigeria. What I figured is just as brazen as we are, as our leaders are, they have pressure points. And they are
international disgrace. That is it. International disgrace.
Their money, and that those pressure points were the points we're trying to hit during the protest, which was why Lekki was a good place to block, which was why the airport was a good place to block, which was why the port was a good place to block, which was why Lagos Ibadan Expressway was a good place to block, because those places affect the economy, like affects them. That's where it hits them hard. And now that it's gone to the international level, that pressure point is they're threatening that we will not give you visa. If anything happens to you, you will stay inside Nigeria and you will deal with the matter. When they know that there's no running, imagine if they're chasing Oba from his palace.
Where you go run?
What are you going to do? You have to just
Oba run from your palace, come up palace, they run for street.
Listen, so when you have things like that, that's why those pressure points are lit. Like, we're just like, okay, now we know, because it was after the visa ban threats that they started falling on top of each other, and we're like, okay. So this is one.
That's when they came to meet you people.
Visa ban, sha. That's all I'll say. These people were asking for visa ban. Let their visa ban be visa ban, because they have a history. They have I'm not mentioning names, but they know themselves. They have a history of acting against Africans' best interests. So let their visa ban be visa ban. Because these economic sanctions I'm hearing, my guy, Nigeria relies on imports. If they impose economic sanctions on that country, we're finished. Even whether you have money or whether you don't have, we're finished. That's all I want to say. And since these politicians are holding Indomie, they're going to chow Indomie when the ones that will be hungry because inside the country.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know. Because me, I fear. But I understand why we're looking for help outside, because that's really our only option. So we don't have any other choice, because and even the army too, they try to go and shoot civilians, you to call gun, go and shoot.
The funny thing,
them zombies, man.
The army is the funniest. Like, I think for me, like, I just think about it and I'm just like, you guys didn't even have to get involved. Like, you went from being people that we didn't even bother talking about or cared about to being the main focus of the issue. And it's like all of them are doing it. Look at House of Rep members, for instance. We were not even facing you guys, Desmond Elliott and his group of friends. We're not facing them, but they decided they want to add mouth to the situation. Now one of them is possibly going to be recalled. Like, why don't you just sit down and keep quiet? If you're not going to do it, just shut up.
I find it funny because this is the same army that whenever they go to fight Boko, they complain about being underarmed. And now the government is using them to suppress to suppress, bro. This thing just gets me angry, man.
And they were good.
There's no logic.
They were good initially. Like, I mean, there were some protests where, like, police would be trying to like harass protesters, and like army officers would be like, nah, don't do that. Like, what are you doing? Like, there were times where I remember at Lekki one time they wanted to pass our barricade, and we're just like, nah, turn back. And they literally just went. Like, they were so like, this is not any of our business. We just want peace. They were very, and then overnight they just decided to be.
It just goes into the fact again when every other day we're questioning who sent out the order, and then from what we know of politics, if the commander-in-chief, i.e. the president, says go there and kill people or whatever, you have to follow orders just as a member of the army. So then obviously that's why. Okay, sorry if I go.
No, finish.
Yeah, so then that's why everyone, like Buhari is the prime suspect in all of this. And when it came time for him to address what happened, he said Shimbai. He didn't say a word. He just spoke.
It was just like you would don't even know what you're doing here. I beg you leave the
Saying people are disturbing me.
This question of who ordered the killings doesn't matter. The president, like you said, the commander of the armed forces, or go and carry him. It's his responsibility. If somebody under him ordered it against his will, it's still his responsibility.
If I go to Asura,
go and carry that guy. Go and carry that guy. This is where I bring in the UN.
No, if I go, no, what's
see? I cannot. Who am I? I cannot go if I go to Asura. They go
waste
you. You don't even know where my corpse is. They go waste. Shaky. That's what international organizations like the United Nations are supposed to do. Because the government has so much power that if the government says no and the people say yes, the people can't do anything because they don't have power. That's why we have the UN and co. But the UN, it's more likely for you to die, resurrect, and wake up and die again than for the UN to come and do their work. Because they never do their work. They never do their work. Our only hope now is the ICC. Even the ICC, they get K-leg. Because Sudan is still in the
to be honest, most of them have not gonna lie.
Most of them to be fair, because we're calling the ICC and we're under their jurisdiction. What are they waiting for? There's video evidence. What are they waiting for? There are witnesses. What are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? And do you know the worst part? The ICC doesn't have a police force or a task force or whatever. So it's going to have to go to the UN. From the way I see it, to actually get those things, and like we said about the UN, if it's not about oil, but let me not speak. So I don't know what the ICC is going to do, to be honest with you, because I don't know where they're going to get. The thing is that the way I see it, they're going to have to put an army or whatever at night, and we know how that works out when international bodies install armies into countries. That is what I'm afraid of. The only problem now is that if we don't go that route, what other routes do we have? Because we cannot go and fight the army on our own. You see, this is the problem I'm facing. It seems like either way, we're fucked.
Conclusion.
No, we're going for the less fucked way, I guess. It's better than accepting to die, At least fighting gives you something to live for in some way. And you just make the most out of every day that you can. But, we're just hoping. I think for me, I'm just hoping, and maybe this is me, I always just have hope in situations sometimes, especially in things that I'm not really versed in, which is Nigerian politics. Like this whole, we obviously all know that Nigeria is bad. Everybody knows that. But the depth to which we've seen the road go since this NSAS movement is just like, bruh, like, are you guys telling us that something we saw is not real? Like, I would never have thought they had something like that in them. Never. Like I knew they were mad, but not like
I wasn't surprised because I don't hate people. There was video evidence. They came out and told us it's a lie.
And then the worst part, the worst part, even today, this afternoon, like when they were having like a review as to what happened that day, they asked the military generals, like, where did you get like proof that they were also shooting back and they were shooting police or whatever, they were hurting police? They said, I got it online. That 85% of the videos he got were online. So then I was like, hold on. So then if the evidence you got is online, our own is online. But it's our own that's doctored. Yours is real, but our one has to be fake. I say,
get here. Like, actually get here.
They're not, they don't have shame. The first time they said they weren't there, they said, but this is you in the video. This is you. They said, no, we were not there. They said, but this is you. And I said, okay, this slide doesn't make sense. We were firing blanks. Okay, you were firing blanks. CNN went to obtain the bullets. These are not blanks. They said, no, it's blank. They are blank. These are not blanks. They said, okay, it's not that one. Told us to do it.
God damn,
bro. I'm just tired, man. I'm tired.
You don't want to laugh at these things, but they're just like
You really don't.
That's the
just
thing.
Absurd, man.
If you don't laugh, you go just crazy.
what's
Just
wrong? What's
absurd, man.
going on with these people? Like, nah, it's crazy. They really, I didn't. Nah, I didn't expect it. Like after they've lied to us that snakes are stealing money, like you think that's the low would go.
Snakes,
And
monkeys. Oh God.
That the dragon.
like, come on, like man, there's some things that I just didn't expect because, like, I mean, have a little shame. One shame. Just have 1% of shame.
Rate us, man. Look at the stupid lies. They say the snake gets money.
Was it not their SWAT training that they were busy doing? I don't know what fuck fighting that was. I don't know what version.
Leadership training.
I don't know what that.
Video quality was in 480p.
Oh God.
Our country is not real, man. Our country is not real. It's a hologram. Our country is not
It's
real.
crazy.
God got
crazy.
this money wrong.
Ran away with money.
Millions. No, not just
I
money,
don't know,
millions. They say monkey took money. God. To be honest, our last president was
Without the exam,
he
we've
studied
written.
zoology, so maybe that's why. But I even
Maybe it's the one that trained the monkeys. Like,
To steal on his behalf.
monkeys living life with 50M.
I swear, man. Just chilling.
So one monkey one place is worth more than half of Nigerians are worth.
Listen, let me tell you something. Just there chilling, like
millions.
It is 50M.
Man,
Probably
before I ever get to that,
probably
man.
Stuck in the jungle, has all the ladies coming through, just chilling within his mansion.
This is the fact that we be, man. But even again, just leaving that topic because we shouldn't even be laughing. People died at the end of the day.
Man.
Died.
It's the absurdity of it all. That's just.
And it's funny how we have these moments, like we just want to be like, oh my God. And then we just catch ourselves and we're just like, yeah, but guys, people actually died. And I can't count how many times we've had those moments, like, should we be laughing? Like, is it a good time? And the fact that we have to do this, and the people who put us in this situation are probably just like, well, these ones, let's keep arresting them. Let's go to their houses and bundle them and then lie that we did not arrest them from their house. It's just like, come on.
Like even the guy that just got released, what's his name? Like
it's just like
the way they even getting arrested is so dumb. Like the reasons are just so unconstitutional. It's insane.
Nah, it's just
there's no rule of law in Nigeria, man. All that one is just theory and paper. There's no rule of law because the court told the police to release the guy and they didn't release him. At least they didn't release him straight off. How
they said they were
bro, I don't know, man. The biggest problem in that country is that there's no rule of law. You just do anyhow.
Everybody can get away with anything. Man. Yeah.
How can someone call his lawyer to come and bail him out of prison because he's there on nonsense ground
and they
imprison the lawyer too?
Bro, Nigeria is not real, bro. Even for what's her name again? Mo. Like she just wanted to go to Dubai to just debrief.
Enjoy her birthday.
Enjoy her birthday, you know.
Man, like
they see
even
they carry their passport.
Ojabi is still that they accused him of murder, and it's just like, but you were the one that shot and killed the person. We all saw it when you shot. Do I have a gun? Like, how can you accuse me of murder, but you're the one holding the weapon? Like, make it make sense. And then you injure me to the point whereby like I have a brain bleed and I'm trying to fight for my life after telling me that I'm the one that killed the person that you killed.
Like, what's the name of that journalist that died? Like the young guy. Forgot his name, but
Pelumi.
Yeah, Pelumi, yeah. Man, like just serious situations.
And after all this, they'll go and carry Boko Haram members that are repentant, give them Coke and Fanta, say they're rehabilitating terrorists, and then shooting civilians who are protesting not wanting to be killed. Do you know the most irritating thing about all this, or one of the irritating things? Nigerians are not asking for the thousands of other things the government is supposed to be providing for them. They're not even asking for jobs or electricity or affordable housing. They're asking to not be killed.
And that it doesn't need much.
The bare minimum, the barest minimum. It's even below the bare minimum.
You actually have to put effort into killing somebody. Don't you get me?
Yeah. It's crazy like that. It doesn't even require any resource. It's not like as if we're telling you to, oh yeah, bring money so that we won't. There's nothing. We're not. All you have to do is don't pull that trigger. That's all. Like let your hand not even be there. If I don't even have, I don't know. Just don't. It's crazy. Like people are dying because
they shouldn't even have weapons.
You know, truth be told, but you know, let me not get into this conversation. Before they say Billy said.
Even the people that have weapons, like, did you see the videos or even the way they were moving it? I said these are people that were trained though. That you're carrying gun, like how
they're holding gun sideways. They think it's African magic. They're holding gun sideways. AK-47, they're holding it sideways as per African magic. Like those are the people they told us they came. They were doing like this.
They were doing this week. I was like, you just have to try
in the UK don't have weapons.
They don't even
care. They can still maintain law and order. Take away the weapons from people in Nigeria. The policemen don't need weapons. The UK is proof of that. The people who are killing us are the policemen. Who are they fighting? How many robberies have they solved? How many armed robbers have they caught? That they have gone?
Like I think with all of this, I actually found out that, you know, in the so I knew it before, but I wasn't really sure. So SARS is like there's like 3 different parts or even 4 different parts of SARS. So there's the anti-kidnapping squad, the anti-cultism squad, the anti-robbery squad, and then there's an X squad, or I think that's what it's called. And this X squad is meant to is like an investigative squad of SARS as a whole. So there's an
so they even have it.
Squad that's meant to be, you know, policing the other squads, and it just is like those ones. Maybe a ghost shall be because me, I don't know. We can't be having these many cases of police brutality, and we actually have an institution and an office that is actually meant to be addressing this. Now we've opened judiciary panel. So what's now the job of those people? Like, no, the whole thing, it's just. And I think for me, one of the scariest moments here was after Buhari said, you know, SARS has been dissolved. And the next minute, few hours later, we're seeing videos of SARS members still in Lagos State, or SARS members. We're hearing that SARS is now the one that was shooting at the Lekki toll. It's just like, but I thought they were the ones that had been dissolved. So does that mean that these guys are literally not within control? That's the scariest part. Then there was a video of the SARS man that said he has a certain number of bullets. He will use.
Yeah, he said he used 29 on people, and then the last one on
himself. And it's just like, what are you guys have created monsters in the name of security? Like, so where do we go from here? Where then?
Like, these are like
crazy.
Trained officers that wear mufti like us with guns and painted hair. But then if I go back to Lagos with dreads or whatever, I'm a criminal.
Like, the problems in our country all of them are so interlocking. You don't even know where to start from. Because I mean, you have so many problems at the same time. You have unemployment, poverty, inflation. How can inflation be rising and unemployment is rising at the same time? So where's the money coming from? I mean, there's so many things. Insecurity, we don't have a legal system.
The worst recession we hit in.
See, I'm 21. I don't think I've ever remembered the year where we were not in recession. Every year, recession. Every year is the worst recession.
To be fair.
Every year, recurring. Our mother and our parents were fighting one man. We are fighting the same human, the same person. That's not even an exaggeration. The same person, we're fighting him at the same time.
4 generations of Kutis are fighting this man.
Fela could have released all his songs today, and all of them would still be relevant. All of them.
Fela's son, Fela's grandson. That's 4 generations of Kutis still fighting.
It's crazy. And you know, this is why when I think about things like this, and you know, back to the question that you were saying, like, you know, about about the women's thing, for instance, when I think about stuff like that in Nigeria, like, our progress is not really the way the world is, because I don't know, things are just different here. This country is just different. I don't know why. So the same thing that we're fighting for 4 generations ago, we're still fighting for now. So when I think about, you know, how will women be seen in 4 generations from now?
I think the
seeing this, I have hope. Pardon?
I think the fight for women in Nigeria is getting better now.
Yeah,
you know, getting better.
It's slow, because it's happening.
Oh, I'm asking. I'm asking.
No, it is. Okay.
It is. It is. It would be a lie to say it's not. It is. No, it is for sure.
Because
think
if it's not like stuff like even like the market march, sorry, like we will not be silenced tonight, say her name and all that would even the feminist coalition wouldn't be possible. We see big names like Jack interacting with people like FK, Joes, Mo. Like,
yeah, but come on. See, that is Twitter. The only thing.
Wait, to be fair, yeah.
But then yes,
to be
that's
fair,
Twitter, but then even at that, like they built a name in Nigeria first.
I think. Sorry. I was asking Billy. Are women held back economically the same way they are in the West, in Nigeria?
I didn't hear the last bit of your question.
Are women held back economically the same way they are in the West, in Nigeria?
Yeah, if not worse. I think because the main issue in Nigeria is culture. And in as much as it seems very like not so harmful, it kind of is in the sense that like it's almost kind of systematic, right? It affects everything. It affects the things that it doesn't have. It doesn't even, there's no business there, but it just affects it. So because of culture, that is the culture we have is not so rotten the way it is in the West. It's not, it's not, it's just not like here, it's just stupid culture that doesn't make sense. Because of that difference, I think yeah, definitely we are, because that also just affects, you know, the idea that, you know, why should a woman be working? You know, the husband is the one. Like, I was in a clubhouse not too long ago, and, you know, we're talking about you know, men feeling like they get power from being the sole providers, even when they don't have work. That's how bad it is. Like, we're all suffering, but because, you know, you're just holding on to this, it is, I'm the man, that's our culture. You're willing to let all of us just die in poverty.
Instead of it to allow us share the burden, you see your head is not correct.
Let us just work. So that's here, and that's why I personally think, yeah, definitely, if not worse, to be honest.
Yeah, and also, you know, in the West, yeah, this isn't economically, yeah, but it ties it part of it. You know how uni lecturers in Nigeria always ask the girls to sleep with them before they, you know, give them a particular grade that they already deserve or something like that. You know, it's crazy, man. I think this happens a lot in Nigeria.
Caveman mentality, bro.
I didn't know how bad it was.
Because
People on Twitter came out to start talking about the
all
experience.
these things.
And this is just Twitter. Twitter only accounts for a small population of the amount
Small
of
group of people, yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Like even the fact that the curfew on the 20th of October was announced on Twitter, it's like, hello. There are so many people at Tollgate that did not even know there was a curfew.
Step one should be our legal system, man.
Speaker Bajabi Amila came, was it like yet 2 nights ago, to come and tell us how his convoy, give us his press release or encounter with the whole with the newspaper vendor that was shot by a security aide. He came to come and tweet at 3 a.m. on Twitter.
Really?
How so balancing,
man.
How is it meant to work? Like at 3 a.m., who is meant to see it? Who are you? Like, do you not know what time it is? You're not in another country. There's no time difference thing. Like, there's only like 0.5% or whatever percent of Nigerians on Twitter. Like, what are you doing? Twitter suddenly became the National Broadcasting Center throughout this entire period, and it's just like,
honestly, I don't know, man.
It doesn't even make sense. Adamu Gaba is telling, you know, Twitter Jack to hand off our case, but yet Twitter has become our channel. Make it make sense, you know.
Adamu is a fool. How can you tell someone on his own app? on his app, fam.
You know,
he just aired himself. They even said they went to court to go and file motion.
The guy is using the same Twitter to sell his markets. That's actually the part that is busting my brain, because he's always coming to tell us about
in fact, I'm even going to say so. God forbid this platform gives that thing.
You know, true that.
Honestly,
before,
no, God forbid. But even at that, man, people like that are those fools. Like at the same time, like I said, if we have a Sega link, we have an FK to say you're an idiot. So we thank God. But
I feel like we need to do more for women, Shad, especially in Nigeria.
100%.
I'm not gonna lie, you man. Women they suffer for Nigeria, man.
Don't be small, man. Don't be small.
It no be smaller. Oh, man.
I know everybody in Nigeria is suffering, but women especially, man, because there's so much research in Nigeria.
Our fight is much. It's plenty. is heavy. And that realization came through like during like it's just like, man, like even when all of us are fighting for our lives,
women are fighting for specifically fighting for themselves.
No, it's and nobody's fighting for. And we always have this conversation like, I had an interview not too long ago, and somebody was asking me, do I think this movement would have gained as much traction if the person, the guy in Delta State, the situation that happened with the man in Delta State, if that was a woman? And I said an outright no. And, there's even evidence to show this, because last year, when we had Say Her Name Nigeria, because of how many amounts of women that were hurt in Abuja with the Abuja raid, there were like 70, there were lots of women. Like, this wasn't one person on like this situation that kind of sparked this. This was God knows how many women, and they came out and told you how they were raped with pure water bags, That didn't cause this kind of outrage. But suddenly we're here, and it's men, so let's go crazy.
So it matters,
right?
Yeah.
It sucks, man. It sucks.
I don't know why it's hard for people to have sense. I don't know why.
Seems quite expensive. It's quite expensive, apparently.
There's some problems that we should just not have. We shouldn't have them, bro. There's just some problems we shouldn't have.
Leave women alone. It's as easy as
saying that hard, bro.
It's that hard.
People
are crazy, fam.
That's the thing. Like, we overthink these things, and then we talk about.
It's so simple, man. Don't touch somebody.
It's so simple. People go to uni to study for 4 years to explain why these things happen. Can you
imagine?
Just leave people.
Are you crazy?
Don't rape somebody.
Don't rape somebody, bro.
It's like it's rocket science. It's just like God.
Bro, it's honestly, it should be that simple.
Even the mocking matches, how can maybe say, we will touch you? I said,
It's not funny. It's not funny.
It's the way he said it.
Bro. It's just how ridiculous it is, man. How can you say no, we will touch you? Are you okay?
I was like,
I
was on my phone watching. I was like, like even the fact that my dad and my little brother went for those protests still, I was like, this is progress. I can't lie, because I know back in the day, a lot of like parents like fall into that age group will be like, because they grew up in a certain culture where stuff like that was deemed as okay. So the fact
that is not an excuse, Sha.
It's not an excuse, so but then
that's not an excuse.
Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys' parents are like fighting for the cause now. And what I'm saying is that I'm happy that my parents, despite the way that they grew up and the beliefs and the norms at the time, they're still seeing it as like, okay, like we've grown, we understand that this is stupid, so we need to be outside with the youth. But yeah, man. But like Billy said, if what happened in Delta happened to a woman,
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That's actually so true, because I'm not deeply like on that level.
I'm so sorry. There's nothing like incels, and I hate to see, I hate the fact that that's true. She didn't care. I hate the fact that she's telling the truth.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that it's not like we haven't tested it. It's actually we've seen it. Like, when I was trying to answer the question off the top of my head, I was going to be like, yeah, no, I don't think so. Then I actually realized it has actually happened where this was the case and it just didn't get this kind of reaction. So,
I think the crazy thing is actually not only Nigeria. It's the same everywhere. Not. Even in America, like they kill like women on the streets, rape and all that all
black women.
The time, especially black women.
White women have rights, man. White women have rights. I keep telling people this thing, they don't want to believe me. White women have rights. It's black women that people don't listen to.
Black women
are actually the best, bro. That's the problem, man. Black women are actually the best. They're not the ones suffering the most. No go better for us,
Like imagine, like imagine, like like this is in America. You're at a protest, like fighting for the murder of George Floyd, for example. This happened to a Nigerian woman, by the way. I'm just can't remember her name right now, but I'm sure as I see the story, you remember. Like imagine you're fighting for twin.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, twin. Fuck.
God, imagine you're out there fighting for a man that died and for men that continue to die to police brutality. Yeah. You go, at the point in time you get sexually assaulted because of it. You go to a bus station, go and confide in another man, a black man as well. It's like, oh my God, this happened to me. And then that same man now attacked, sexually assaulted, and then killed you. It's like when you actually hear people say men can be the weakest link. It's like, can you even argue at this point? Like when you see madnesses like that happen.
Fine, we'll start talking now.
Yeah, see, me, my own just remains consistent. I think human beings are just depraved all through. Man,
so you don't think that men are more depraved than women?
Woman, I think.
If I were
okay. To be fair, yeah.
I think men have a tendency to be more stupid.
To be fair, historically, we've been more stupid. Yes.
Facts.
Yes. I cannot argue that one. We've been more stupid, man.
It's just a thing. I think it just comes with the biology. I think it's just your makeup is quite unfortunate.
This is bad.
She said after you put dick, you put foolishness after. After you put me.
We've not.
It's crazy.
We've not been the best. We've not done the best, man.
Well, do you know how crazy it is?
Even sometimes when I see slam, yeah, continue. Sorry.
No, it's just I was just gonna say, like, it's hard. I know in my lifetime I've come across a bunch of men. I can count the amount of men that have sense in the masses of men in this life that I have encountered. It's just like 1, 2, 3, just you can shout.
Us good niggas just keep getting straight bullets, man. Just be catching straight bullets up and down. To be fair,
when this whole men are trash thing came out, I was feeling so kind of why are they insulting my
gender? Why are they insulting us?
And I want to go and see what my gender has actually been doing. I'm like, it's actually valid.
They're onto something, to be fair. And there are people who are still stuck in that phase, to be very honest.
True, 100%.
To those people, do you know what I realized? They are saying men are trash, it's paining you. They are killing women, bro. There are women that are getting killed and then
because of Twitter words, 170 characters, they are paid. When women are getting
that's why you're paid.
Mutually,
the struggle is not the same, bro. That's the thing.
Your own is Twitter, bro.
I actually dipped it because people are defensive of themselves. I actually dipped it, like they're fighting to not be killed and not be raped. And you're fighting because you're feeling bad that they're saying your gender is trash. And your gender is actually trash.
It's actually trash. It's so garbage.
You see, that's
actually trash there because
that's a very good example of why stupidity is next to men. Just can you see how that logic doesn't make sense
now? We understand.
It doesn't make sense.
Okay. Nah, but she's right. She has a point though.
But like she does. No, 100%.
Like when I don't have any defense. Anytime I even see guys, for example, saying it's like, "Oh, but not me." There's a sense of insecurity there because you're feeling. Maybe it's just a part of you feeling away for something that you might have done that can be deemed as trash. Because for men to be telling stories about how they've been assaulted, raped, knowing people that got mutilated and all that, and your own is, but not me, or not all men.
No. The only problem I have with the entire movement, and I think Ifeanyi would agree, is when people start rating women, putting women in, well, it doesn't happen so often, but putting women in high positions just because they are women, not because they deserve to be there. So I don't think women are morally. No, I don't think anyone is morally better than another person.
Yes, on average.
Women have done horrible things in history as well. Not on the scale of men, because they haven't been given the power to do that or the opportunity to do that. So we don't know.
I want to hear Billy's thoughts on this.
No, but just to clarify, what
the way she's smiling, it seems like she's about to attack me.
Oh, what he's saying is that what he's saying is that if you put a random man in a room and you put a random woman in a room, you cannot say that the man is or the woman is morally superior just because she's a woman.
Yeah. Women have also done some, but men are also obviously the forefront of stupidity because they've done.
No, but I think there's 2 points here. So I'm not really sure which one. So there's the point of obviously you're not a saint by the fact that you're a woman. There's that, and then there's the earlier point which I was making faces to, which is you're giving a woman XYZ just because she's a woman. There's that part. I think that's the part I want to understand a bit better, like how you think about that.
Okay, so for example, if you make a woman, this is just an example of the president. just because there haven't been any, women who have been president in the past. And
I think that's actually a fair rationale. I'm not going to lie. And you know why?
Even if she's not competent, even if historically she's not competent enough to hold that office.
No,
just give it to her.
Donald Trump.
Just give it to her.
Donald Trump.
No, that's a bit extreme. The way I'm thinking about it is if let's say we have three main four people, whatever it is, and they all seem equally competent in their own different ways, I will pick a woman, obviously because I'm biased. But then another reason is just because there's a difference in, we've had men all this while. Maybe, just maybe.
I just want to give one example. We've had one female minister of finance. Her name was Daisy Anyali's in Madrid. She's a woman. She was equally as competent. She was equally as competent as anybody else who they could put in that position. She's a woman. She entered there. And what did she do? She stole like everybody else. So, I mean, see, for me, if
that's one woman though.
Yeah, okay, that's one woman, but it still shows that it's possible for something like this to happen.
Yeah, no, it is. But
that is just, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. I think it's just it's one of these things where the way I think about it is, okay, yeah, that is true, but we actually still haven't tried it. So at the end of the day, we're scared of something that we are already going through anyway. So what harm would it really bring more than what we are currently, experiencing, if we just say, you know what, like let us leave the room open, let us give the chance. And the reason why I was actually making the faces was because there was okay, that's kind of different. So what I was going to say was there was a woman who came out and said, like 90% of her staff are women or something like that. Or she's like very intentional about hiring mainly women. And there was this whole pushback that so men too will not get jobs because you want to hire women. And people were saying, no, that's not fair. Even if you want to do it, we should do it based on competence and that. And me personally, I'm just like, no. And the reason I say no is because if we're trying to fight for equality, I'm so sorry, but we're gonna have to even the scale. Like it is what is too bad. But like, if you guys actually want to help, maybe you can join the fight to make the system better and fair for all of us. But if I, as a woman, I'm going to try and tackle this, I'm going to give more opportunities to women because I know how hard it is in the system and they need that opportunity. Because if I don't do that, men are not going to think of women because they don't even think we deserve to be there anyway. So I got to do that. Somebody has to do that. And you're not going to do it, so I will do it.
So what you're saying is we need to, before we start, in order to balance the scales, we need to add more water into the bucket of women first. Because
that is what it is. You need to put resources there. You need to put those resources there in order to, and then we can now start saying, okay, oh yeah. And this doesn't necessarily mean, and it's crazy because there was this UN study, I think, or there's is it UN or World Bank, where they were saying, like, the number of years between when women would actually economically, socially, politically match up to men is about 100 years. So you realize that there's so much that actually, if it takes 100 years, you realize that there's so much that you need to do.
Why are you smiling?
No, let her finish.
What's he smiling for? There's just so much that you do to balance it out. So maybe it's just me, I'm a woman, so I'll be biased anyway. So
me, I'm with you, Sha. I won't lie.
I think
we did your back.
I think economically speaking, it's just okay. Obviously, you're a woman and I'm a man. I have to keep saying this. So if you correct me, I'll take the correction in it. But I saw a statistic a week ago that measured the amount of poor people in. By the way, there are 111 poor people in Nigeria.
111
behind.
Okay.
111 million people living below the poverty line. And Okiki and Ohiz know my problem with statistics, so let's just assume the statistic is correct today. And it said that the percentage of men to women was 50-50. At the same time, in Nigeria, for example, today, I was just looking at the board of directors for Keystone Bank, and the proportion of, I think there are like 2 or 3 women there out of like 6 or 7 directors or something. So economically, yeah, I don't think women are as economically disadvantaged in Nigeria as they are in the West, because the statistics in the West are just crazy. But like I said, I'm a man, so I don't know. I haven't experienced what it feels like to be a woman in Nigeria.
It's hard. I feel tell you, I'm not a woman, but I feel
No,
tell you.
everything else you said, yeah, it's just the part about economics and like job progression. In terms of getting jobs and all that stuff, I think everybody does this so far. I don't go like
the reason why I don't trust these statistics is because in Nigeria we don't even have these statistics. So whatever information that is being relied on for these reports, I don't trust, because we have tried to do these internally and we are on the ground, right? I know a good number of organizations that have actually had to try and get accurate numbers, and those numbers keep changing because it's hard to get them. We don't have a system that has anything data. It's just everything is
database.
Yeah, a lot of it is probably like just estimated, because
it's
really
always
going to the people of Mokoko to carry out the census and stuff like that. Like,
and the thing with estimation in the case like this is that you erase a huge number of people, because I'm telling you, I'm on the ground and I have to do a lot of interactions on the ground, and the things that you won't hear a lot of the things that are happening in Nigeria, because they're just not, nobody knows them, nobody cares really, because it's just like more important, there's more important fish to fry as far as Nigeria is concerned. So the reality of the things in Nigeria that I can say as someone who has had to, work with very privileged people and had to work with people of different classes, people of different backgrounds, the reality is not what is being projected, and that's just facts. If you speak to anybody who's actually working on the ground, they will tell you this. It's just facts. It's worse than you can imagine. Like, in terms of numbers, in terms of the experiences, is bad. It's bad. And that's why these little wins seem like, oh my God, wow, FEMCO. You would appreciate it so much, because you're just like, whoo, let's not be like as if we're not doing anything. So economically, it seems as though it's not bad. And to be honest, like, data is being represented more progressively these days than anything else. So I genuinely just don't trust, especially when it comes out of Nigeria. Because where are they even getting the numbers from? Where is it?
Guys,
Where?
in statistics, people.
What's the best way? Do you think what's the best way to reset the cultural stereotype of women in Nigeria? You know how women are viewed as less equal, less superior. What's the best way to treat everybody?
Right? It's just policies and sensitization. That's really it. It's
and more women in position, more qualified women in positions of power as well.
According to Ebele, they don't need to be qualified, sir. They need to be qualified.
Okay, guys, that's really what I said.
That's not what she said now.
No, they definitely have to be qualified. That's why I gave the example of if there are 3 to 4 people who are equally competent. That's why I gave that example. Obviously, if she's not qualified, that's not the brand feminism that I'm a part of. I'm not trying to invite more chaos into my life, because women can equally be harmful to the women. In as much as we know the primary focus of our problems are men. Women, who have internalized misogyny, also play a huge role in our oppression. So we cannot go and put somebody up there that will now come and they will now say, she's a woman, she said, so that's what I will be like,
And that's how the entire thing be.
And that's why a lot of those men will be grabbing on to. They'll be grabbing on
to. They'll be saying, so you told us to put woman, now we put woman. See what
I was going to ask that, but thank God you know.
You know all those women that would be like, how can I not cook for my husband? How can I not kneel down and present his food? Like, those are the ones that the men will be going to for.
To be fair, wait.
All right, fine.
I'm not saying wait. I'm not saying
waiting.
I'm not saying. I'm not talking about the kneeling down part. Like that one. I don't know. I don't know about that one because I cannot imagine my mother kneeling down for my father or go deck the guy. I don't know about that one. So I'm not talking about the kneeling down part. But is there anything wrong with a woman actually wanting to uphold those gender roles in her own house?
I mean the prehistoric ones.
She wants, as far she doesn't want to work. She wants to stay at home, do the domestic stuff.
Hey.
The man will go outside and do his shit in her own house. So that's what she wants for herself.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, I think the problem at some point I said, and I still have conflicting thoughts about this, but I think there are different versions of freedom. And for me, yeah, I always tell myself, like, if I get to a certain age and, you know, I say, you know, I want to settle down and I haven't found somebody that I think is reasonable enough, I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia. Go and find me a rich prince and I'm going, hello, please. Listen, if you want to patriarch with money, you know, let's do this. Let me tell you the thing with patriarchy. It's just the problem is wait. The problem is you're basically taking things, you're being entitled to something. And in a lot of cases, you're not even worth the thing that you're feeling entitled to. You don't have anything to offer. Right, because you know we're living in a world whereby everybody is, as far as I'm concerned, is self-servant. Like, and you're trying to look at, you know, which one is going to profit me. Cool. If we're going to work in a system that, you know, we're trying to profit off each other, I don't even mind that. But if we're doing that, let me actually be gaining something from all of this. Like, you can't be telling me sit down at home. But
I don't have money.
No, but the thing is, so if you group different women, okay, these women are allowed to work, these women are allowed to stay at home. Won't that create a problem almost? Like, then they'll teach their daughters that, oh, this might be the best way to live your life, staying at home. And maybe that girl is actually born ambitious and doesn't want to stay at home. She wants to go out and work.
Then she can go out and work eventually.
Yeah, but her mom.
I don't think anybody who is choosing as a feminist in this time to stay at home is choosing it as the Bible that they're gonna pass on and live their life with. It is a personal choice. I don't think it's something they will pass on. It's like somebody in the clubhouse I was talking about, somebody was saying at the same time, like, when we're talking about staying at home, it is who does it benefit? A husband can also decide to be a stay-at-home. This doesn't just it's not just
exclusive
it's just
to women.
Anybody can stay at home. It just depends on the situation. At the end of the day, is if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. You guys have your dynamics, but it shouldn't be a given that, of course, what else is there going to be? You stay at home. It shouldn't be it's something that everybody is just like, okay, does it work for you? Cool. Me, I'm fine staying at home. Quite frankly, I don't mind. This person, my partner can be like, well, I can't really, if you're relocating to this particular place, maybe the job opportunities don't really fit what I like to do. I can work from home. I can just be at home while you go pursue your thing and we work. Like, it's you and the person, and not you and the entire society telling you people, no, it's like this.
That's what I was going to say. I think true feminism in that form, and please, Ebele, correct me if I'm wrong, like, is the freedom to choose whether you want to go out to work or stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom or whatever the case is. The freedom to choose rather than it being imposed on you.
And I think that is a problem that feminists have in the modern day.
I was
going to say, they have an idea of what the 21st century woman should be, and they lose focus.
Here's why that is, as much as I understand, which, like I said, I still have conflicting like thoughts about sometimes, and I'm still learning and trying to like hear people's opinions. It's just a lot of the time, in as much as you can, as a woman, make these choices, like, you know what, I want to be this, there is the fear of how do we differentiate between you doing it for you and you doing it for, because these choices that you're making have been historically built into it's something that is patriarchal. It's systemically patriarchal. Like, everything about it is, and that's why people are having conversations these days about marriage. Like, is marriage really like the whole fantasy thing, or is it another oppressive system for women? Right. So that's why people are having those kind of conversations. It's just these entire institutions and ways of doing things have been historically built on patriarchy, and that's why it seems like when a woman decides this is what I want to go for, are you really choosing freedom, or you're just choosing the patriarchy? It's back and forth, but I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Are you sure they're choosing freedom or they're choosing patriarchy?
I understand what you're saying, but this is a situation where we can't know, so we're going to have to make an assumption. And we live in a fairly progressive society, at least in the West. So if we're going to make an assumption, we're more likely to make the assumption that they do know, that they have all the facts, and they are choosing this, not because they feel obligated to stay at home or anything like that, but because they actually want to.
You know what? I beg to differ.
Okay.
I beg to differ, and I beg to differ because an understanding that I've had to have is that even though my circle seemed very progressive, again, like I said, that's not the reality of things, on the ground. And it's rather straightforward, where the reasons why someone who is a bit more privileged would pick something like that is obviously going to differ from the reason why somebody who is not privileged would pick something like that. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah. Classes would differ, how you interpret things, and the truth of the matter is the larger population of women fit into the other category. Hence, that means that if they are choosing to do this, they're not choosing it for the more progressive reason why, people choose it for. And they're not choosing it for the more progressive reason why people choose it for. They're actually choosing it because
that's the norm. That's
kind of what do. It's just, it is what it is. And they will tell you, yes, I'm fine with it, but they're not.
They're actually not. Thank you. Thank you. That's what I was saying.
Fair enough, Sha. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But still.
And because even the women who are staying at home, like Ebele said, some of the men cannot even take care of them. And they're still staying at home. It's a different thing if the man is doing everything, he's competent enough. Some of these men are not competent. They're actually vagabonds. Yeah.
The fuck is this guy? Vagabond.
So you get me?
You're right.
Fair enough, Sha. As for me, I want to marry somebody that is working, Sha. Yeah, I don't get energy to be doing breaking up.
Ebele, I bet if you find that billionaire Saudi Arabia boy, hit me up.
No, go and see if you ask. See if you ask.
That's all of us. So.
All my guy friends are always just like, listen, I want to marry a rich babe so I can't work. All of them, they're just like, listen, just like, I don't want to be a house.
Still love me, Sha. If she will still love me,
small house boy work I have to do this.
I don't want to be house boy.
I'm telling you, I'm close. Go and watch me.
Oh, you got fix water here.
There's no food for you this night.
Oh man, but Bill, are you still going? Are you still protesting, by the way?
NSAS.
Are you still out there, like in the actual protest?
No, that not really been any, because Masele was a part of, which was, I think, why he was picked up initially. After that, I haven't heard of any that has gone on. I think now people are trying to think of, if we are going to protest, what are the more digital or more strategic ways, trying to look into, like, the way they protested in Chile, or the way, other like successful protests have gone about, like more creative ways of protesting, so maybe staying in your house and wearing black and putting it out there, or other ways to just protest.
I also think we should look more into, like, that youth party they were talking about. Because I don't know if change can actually happen without young people actually getting into the government, like infiltrating the government.
Look at him, look at the disgrace that he's doing there.
It's true, Sha. It's true, Sha.
I think, yes.
Like, a good party is not by name, because even now I know there's a Nigerian youth party, but it's not even led by correct people.
Wait, can we win an election? Do you guys actually think we can win?
The North is why I don't think it's.
The youth can win an election, man, because we're majority in Nigeria.
Because of the North, not yet.
There are ways.
Because of the North, not yet.
There are ways of voter suppression that these people use. I think I heard something that you can't vote in a state you weren't registered in, or something like that. So if you registered in Abia, but you now live in Lagos, you have to go to Abia to go and vote.
Wherever it is that you registered, you have to go and.
That's madness now.
That's why people travel.
Like, even America, for example, like, I have a friend. But I have a friend that is like, that's here with me in England. Like, she could still vote over, like, she could still mail in her votes from over there. With us, for example, all three of us here are in England. We can't vote because we're here. And Nigeria now, if they try to do digital voting now.
Ha!
The government to ask for the government to ask for 4 billion naira to do it, and then they do like 3.5. So with that, it's just so 20th century, so disappointing. So then
I don't think the truth of the matter is I don't think we can, maybe not in 2023. I think, you know what, I can't say yes or no. The problem is, even though
definitely not in 2020, definitely not in 2020.
It's possible. Even though the youth have the numbers, right? The youth is still very divided. And it's not even consciously divided. It's just there's poverty, and poverty has a huge impact on elections, because it's that poverty that is weaponized to buy votes. It's that poverty that is weaponized to, disrupt voting and everything. And once that is in place, then a lot of the things that we think would go straight forward just wouldn't. You just think, these youths, they know that this government has made them poor. It's a very straightforward thinking kind of something, but there is poverty, and that's fortunately or unfortunately just plays a huge role in making the whole effort very bad. But I think one thing I've been saying to people is I think there's definitely been a huge cultural shift in the way we think about power when it comes to, the government and the citizens, government and police and us. I think there has been in some way. It might not be so blatant, but everybody has just been like, oh wow, we did this. This is how they responded. In as much as, we had casualties, and we're still having them gaslight us. They were scared. That is the fact that they felt something, and they were just like, okay, we never thought you guys would actually have the balls to stand up to us. So, right.
Honestly, they're actually scared. I can tell they're scared.
Okay.
I don't think they're scared, Sha.
I don't think they're scared enough. Yeah, I don't think they're scared enough. I think they're shocked. I think they're just
that's a better word. They're shocked. Yeah.
Okay.
The other generation didn't give them this much wahala now.
Yeah,
Are we sure?
They didn't give them this. They didn't give them this much wahala. I mean, we call Boo a bad boy, boo, on television.
Wait.
The previous generation.
You see, the thing is that we need to put some small respect on our parents' generation, because these people, our own is a dictatorship here, but it still has small democratic something. In our parents' time, if you go and call Barry bad, they will shoot you in front of everybody. Okay, to be fair, they shot people in the Kia, and there was an uprising and everything. But in their time, they will carry you, they will shoot you, and nobody will say anything. So they were facing, I won't say they were facing a worse scenario, because things have gotten worse for us, but it was harder for them to speak. And they didn't have Twitter where that could mobilize people. And just imagine, even with video evidence and with Twitter and with everything,
all of this is still happening.
So imagine how hard it was. If we were alive in 1995, and the government told you something didn't happen, and someone told you something happened, it's the government's word against.
It's he said, she said, and then we have to go again with the government, didn't it? Because there's no
and because so I think we need to factor in those certain things. But at the same time, our parents' generation fucked up. Yeah, that's
they didn't back the man then.
They did not agree.
They didn't go.
When he ran for president,
they didn't vote for him. They were saying he's a useless man.
To be fair, our own generation too, like the same thing, because this guy was a dictator. He came back in 2015, a dictator, and people voted for him. I don't want to hear people didn't vote for him. People voted for him, because I remember those rallies and how many people were there. Because what they always tell me is rigging. Okay, maybe they rigged, but people still voted for him. A dictator, as far he has been there before, and he was doing all sorts of nonsense, and he proved that he wasn't capable. All the signs were there. There was a teacher in Oxbridge I was arguing with. He said, I don't like Buhari because I'm Igbo. I said, okay. I was giving this guy proof of why this guy won't be good, and he was telling me it's because I'm Igbo. There's some things some people say I don't understand, but God, let me not even start, man. I when I try to rationalize something,
and it's frustrating to think about. It's very frustrating to think about. The crazy thing about it, I think for me, it's just, I know people are bad, and I know people have bad, but sometimes I just feel like you can't be this bad. Sonwolu, for instance, I thought Sonwolu was going to be the kind of person that, I know he's part of government, I know, but like he came to us and he seemed like somebody that, you know, he cares a lot more about integrity and, you know, being a good person. That's how I saw him. And for the longest time, like, I didn't want to believe that he actually like knew all of these things. But then coming to that realization was just like, man, I thought you were decent. Like, why? Like, what is it like? What is it worth it? Like, is it?
I had my suspicions when at the time it was running that you couldn't go anywhere in Lagos without seeing his face. So he
was everywhere.
Man, he was everywhere. 10 million people was there.
You know the
was there.
Like,
native land, it was there.
He was a native land.
Your poster, one big poster opposite from your Kunalapa, it was there. I said, man, Ifeanyi, sorry, go.
I've even forgotten what I wanted to say, to be honest.
Nah, bro, but
I wanted to say that we were calling the guy youth, and the guy is 55.
Tinubu called him youth. Tinubu
to be fair, it doesn't look 55, to be fair.
Live story.
Forget that one. Does that man look like a young person to you?
No,
he doesn't look 55 now.
Even if he was 42, Tinubu called that man. That is another problem. Tinubu that has had Lagos in his pocket since we were kids. No, before we
were the bad mouth Jagaban, the guy go kill.
Yeah, let's not go. Let's
because now we don't
leave Jagaban.
Okay, we don't know what goes on.
There's a reason they call him Jagaban, you understand?
Okay. Let's leave Tinubu alone. But before we head out, man, Ebele, is there anything in particular you're working on right now? Any projects? Any ways forward?
Obviously, I'm still with Market March, and you know, we're trying to figure out more sustainable and practical ways of addressing the situation, which don't necessarily have to do with policies, because policies are long term, but more like temporary things that we can do on the ground within ourselves, and probably like partnering with other like sister organizations. So there's that. And in terms of NSAS, you know, I in as much as I'm probably one of the least patriotic people, I definitely know that the movement woke something up in a lot of people, right? And people that I'd heard that would just be like, you know what, Canada in Jesus' name, are still thinking like, how can I make Nigeria better? Even if you're not here, like, that's still something. So I recently got into an organization called Voters Education Nigeria, and it's basically working towards voters education, because I think with the NSAS movement, we saw how much information has power and how much information shook the government and how much information started this movement, and information has a lot of power beyond what we even know. And so we need to use that and know that we're using that in a way that actually benefits us as a country. So voters education is one of those ways that we can do it, you know, making people aware of what they're doing and who they're voting for and what it's to vote for this person and what you can hold the person accountable for and who the person is that you're holding accountable. All of those things people need to know. People need to know that, you know, if somebody does this, you can recall the person. This is the process. This is, you know, everybody needs to know, because one of the things that our government plays on is our lack of knowledge. They will tell us whatever they want to tell us that will benefit them, and, you know, all well and good, everybody else sorts out that. So we need to take that power back into our hands and say, you guys, we gave you the power, you're not using it well for us, so we're just going to do it by ourselves, as we did during the NSAS protest anyway, with everything from security, medicals, and everything. So yeah, those are the two main things that I'm working on currently.
Thank you so much for having us, for being here.
Thank
for
you.
doing the work you're doing,
man. Thank you. I didn't even know you guys were doing something like this. Like, you know how it's so crazy to me. So somebody else, I think, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention that, but then there's somebody else, I think she's even in your set, who's doing something like this, but you know, mainly for women. And it's so time, and there's different people that I know that came out of our secondary school that are doing similar things and just leading conversations and creating rooms. And I'm just like, man, like that place was tough for us.
Don't worry, you'll be
but you know,
be censored.
It was tough for us, but look at us, like at us, like we're representing and we're doing the thing. So like, big ups to you guys. This is amazing. Like it's crazy that you guys are doing this, and like,
thank you so much.
Yeah, Well done.
No, thank
On
you.
on well, I don't know if Ohiz wants to close, but before you close, Ebele, if you find that boy, Saudi boy, beg. If he has sister,
Which boy?
the Saudi boy now. if he has sister, I'll beg plug me, man.
You give me out of your own share.
With that being
I'll
said,
find it when I'm 30. 30 is my age. Once 30 reaches and it hasn't happened. Yeah.
Say less now. We do your back. We do your back.
Yeah.
Back, man.
Thank you guys so
Thank you
much,
so much.
man.
Yeah, thank you for hopping through, man. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything you do in the movement, man. And
Yeah.
we appreciate you having you on. And as always, boys, this has been Green Passport. We're out. Peace.
Bye.
Our country bond.
See you guys. Enters.
wait till you know they go. You know, if I tell you to come back, how you go finish episode? You dey go with the guest. This boy does not.
How did he go?
How can you jump out with the guest? This boy, yeah.
Boy.